Yeah, okay, time to live free. Plenty goals I'm achieving. Some real life topics and talking financial freedom. Mindset, soul and love, everything in between. This is Freedom Podcast. Tune in, live free. Hey, got my mindset right and I got the drive. Planning one day, no more job, no more 9 to 5. Love money, mine. Love money, mine. This is freedom. Tune in, cause it's going down. Woo!
Hi, this is Anna and welcome to another episode of your Freedom Podcast. In this episode, I interview Ashley Ford. And you're going to love this interview because you'll know, for those of you that are part of my Amazon and Etsy program, I am a real stickler for making sure that you know your numbers. And Ashley is an expert in small business accounting. She's a QuickBooks guru. She's obsessed with helping women make better decisions in their business. And we chatted all about this, about how it's really important to know your numbers. It's one of the biggest mistakes that small businesses make when they first get started. You're going to love this interview. She is really inspiring. She makes things really simple. And I know you're going to really get a lot out of this for those of you that are really wanting to start a business this year. So can't wait for this episode with Ashley. So great, Ashley, to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for our conversation.
I know, as we were just saying just before we click record, I love this podcast that I get to network and meet all these amazing people globally. And I know you're based in Texas. Have you always lived in Texas?
I have, yes. I was born and raised in Texas, still here. Went off to school in Oklahoma, and then I came back, but a native.
Because I didn't realise Texas is so big, actually. Because us Brits, I'm going to be really cheesy now, us Brits, all we think about is Dallas and dinner state. But someone said Texas, it's just a stereotype. But knowing a few people that I've met, that I've worked with, I didn't realise Texas was so big. There's like the north and the south, and there's all these different areas. I imagined, naively, that it was quite a small place, but that's probably us, again, from Britain, that think everything in a small way.
Yeah, I think it's like a 10-hour drive across Texas, or maybe longer. It's a big state. It's deceivingly big.
Yeah. Well, great to have you on the show. I can't wait to sort of dig in and find out how. I know because you obviously run your business around supporting business owners with kind of like accounting, and from looking at your website as well, I can see you do loads of other things to really help people sort of strategize within their business as well.
Yeah.
But how did you kind of get to be doing all this good stuff? How did it all start?
Yeah, well, just like everybody's entrepreneurial journey, it wasn't that I just jumped right in. So I left in school, I got an accounting degree, and I went straight to work for a CPA firm afterward. And that's where I really learned how to do accounting for small businesses. I had kind of a portfolio of my own clients. I was given a lot of responsibility. It was a smaller firm, and I learned a ton there. But my parents were entrepreneurs. I come from a family of small business owners. So I think I always had like this little spark inside of me that knew I wanted to have my own business someday or have some sort of entrepreneurial journey. I think I thought it was going to be once I was like way more mature, whenever that was going to be, or like later in my life. So I was working for the CPA firm. I'd worked there for 5.5-ish years, something like that. And the CPA that I was working for retired. And about that same time, one of my clients who had been on the TV show Shark Tank, and they were a startup, they needed someone to come work internally for them.
Okay.
So I went to go work. Do what?
I said, that sounds fab.
Yeah, it was a very lively experience. It was very exciting. And it was a totally different perspective. So I had worked at an accounting firm from like the outside looking in on businesses. And then I went to go work inside of a business. Yeah. And it was also a startup. So it was really small. And I got to work kind of hand in hand with the owner on what was important to him on the finance side of things, and what numbers meant to him in his business, and kind of how it really affected his personal life. And it was there that I really got a different perspective of working inside a business, but it was also there that I was just craving starting something on my own. I just was like constantly daydreaming about it. It was just like every day on my commute, I'd be thinking about, what would it look like to create my own schedule? What would it look like to choose my own clients or hire my own team? Or what would it look like to have like unlimited potential and how much money I could make? And one day on my lunch break, I was sitting in my car, just needed like a little break from work, was eating a sandwich. And I was like, I just need to take one step. I mean, I'd been thinking about it for months and I just couldn't get it off my mind. And I was like, I just need to take that first step, whatever that first step is going to be. So that day in my car, decided on a business name and filed for an LLC and was like, this is the first baby step. And from there, it was just baby step after baby step after baby step until I was finally able to go full time.
Yeah. I think it is. It's weird, isn't it? Because a lot of the stuff you were saying then I could relate to, because my dad always ran his own businesses, and I actually worked in the pharmaceutical world for many years.
Oh, wow.
I did science degree and all that kind of stuff. But I always felt that I would do something for myself. I think I just always had that. And I think for people listening to this, if you have that, it's just like a gut feeling, isn't it? And for you, you don't really do anything about it. You just sort of know that at some point when the time is right, and sometimes you've got to push yourself on that time. Keep going back to it, like you were. Keep going back to it.
Yes, I think I realized the time was never going to just feel right. It was never just going to be like, this is the magical moment that is like, the gates are opening for me to step into this next phase. You really got to like push yourself into it if you've got something that's telling you this is the way you should go.
Yeah, definitely. And I always talk about my 3 pillars, and they are, because it's a freedom podcast, it's freedom in love, which is all around self-care, really. It's not really about romantic relationships. But it's also about the love that you give other people, but looking after you mainly. Self-care, self-love. And then freedom in money, which is financial freedom. And freedom in mind, which really just encompasses absolutely everything else. Because those have been the 3 things that have given me equilibrium, really. Because, at the beginning of when you're building a business, your income is like up and down a bit and it's not stable. So finances do matter. It's not all about money, but finances enables you to live the lifestyle you want. Like we were saying about, living that freedom and being able to put your own calendar together of how you're going to live your life. And then it's self-care as well. Like there's been times, I mean, it's fine when if I'm doing a launch, because I do coaching programs, if I'm doing a launch, I might be putting in more hours, and that's fine. But if you feel like you're burning the candle at both ends and you're not actually taking any time for you, for me being a single parent as well, it was always like I was doing everything for everybody else. So it's always keeping that check of making sure that I've got those self-care things in place. And I don't always get it right, and then mindset, I think, just encompasses everything. Because again, we can have bad days where we feel like we're just going to throw the towel into the whole work, or throw our laptop out the window sometimes, especially when you're dealing with Amazon. But you've got to, you just know that tomorrow could be a completely different day. But it's having those things that you do. Maybe it's just like, right, I'm not going to do any more work. I'm going to do a self-care routine, or maybe it's you realise that you're doing something that's self-sabotaging, and you need to actually learn how to get out of those sort of sequences or routines that we do, or some belief that's stuck there that's saying that we can't do something. So I don't know if any of those you can relate to, because you're not
all 3, every single thing you just said. Absolutely.
And maybe just share, because a lot of people that listen to this podcast are at the beginning of their journey with starting a business, or they may even be stuck and they're wanting to be encouraged to take that step. So listening to you, having been there and done it, if there's anything you can share that could help people.
Yeah, I think if you are in a season, or if you're in a phase of life where you cannot stop thinking about what it would look like to do something on your own, or if you have a side hustle for you're working a day job and then you're also doing something on the side, and you keep dreaming about what it would look like to make that your full-time thing, you can do it. Like 100%, you can. If I can do it, anyone can do it. You can absolutely do it. You just have to have confidence in yourself and know that if you have that confidence in yourself, you will do whatever you need to do to make sure that you're successful at this, at this entrepreneurship thing. And just to take the step, take the leap. And for me, the baby steps helped, right? It wasn't like one day I just decided I'm going to quit my job and start my own business. It was really about taking baby steps and kind of testing my confidence and testing the market and testing what it would look like. And honestly, that just made me want it even more, like really dipping my toes in the water. I was like, this is something real. This is something I could really do. And those baby steps really add up to be something massive.
Yeah.
And then the other piece, like the accountant in me, whenever I was kind of planning, once I had started my business and was kind of planning before I went into it full time, before I actually left my job, planning ahead and sort of saving money for your business expenses or to be able to pay your bills after you quit your job gives you so much peace of mind whenever you do decide to make that leap. Even if you don't ever need the savings, if you build up a savings and know you have that to fall back on, it just helps you feel that much more confident about your decision.
That safety net that you know that you've got, that you don't want to be running on fear, because that's just going to give you that stress and going to, you're not going to be like helping that whole abundance really happen, because you're going to be your back's against the wall. So I think it's really important, like you say. And I also think like accountancy is one of those things that people avoid. I know myself, when I'm talking to a lot of my e-commerce students, Amazon now, for instance, are putting on processes to make sure that people can't get away with not putting their tax information in, which I think is a good thing. But still, a lot of people just sort of at the beginning. And I remember feeling like, helping my husband do his bookkeeping and things like that.
Yeah.
It can be a full-time job doing that in itself, And I think a lot of people mess up because it's not that sexy area of the business, They like to focus more on looking at the website or the fun stuff or what their expertise is. And it's like, oh, I'll sort that out later. So from your expertise, being accountancy, what kind of shares or support or tips can you say to people? It's probably Eat That Frog. I don't know if you've read that book, Eat That Frog.
Yep, exactly.
But
you just got to tackle it.
Exactly.
It's so funny because I feel like accounting is so unsexy, but money is sexy, right? Like we all want more money or money to be able to afford the things that we want. We want to be able to pay ourselves more. We want to be able to hire people or sell more products or, whatever it is that we want to do, all requires money. So money in and of itself is something that most people are attracted to in some way or another. And accounting is really just the organization of that money and making sure that you do have enough to pay yourself what you want and to get towards all of your business and personal goals that you have, whether that looks like, hiring people or investing in coaching or marketing or, new inventory or whatever that looks like. So my biggest suggestion is really just to not shy away from it and don't be afraid if in the beginning you don't really understand what you're supposed to do or what you're looking at. Reach out, find somebody that you can reach out to for support, like use YouTube, use Google. There's a lot of resources out there, and we offer a ton of like free and low cost resources for people who are just getting started. But it's the avoidance that I think does two things. It can make matters worse if you're not paying attention. Maybe you're not pricing your products well, so you're losing money on them because you've got all these other expenses going on and you don't really know because you're not looking at the numbers. You might be looking at what's in Amazon to know this is your cost of the product and what you're selling it for.
Some people are they're trying to
yeah.
Like a real stickler in my group, like, what are your numbers?
Yes, because it's so important.
Yeah, it's so important, like you say, because otherwise you don't know if you're making money or not.
Yeah.
You just winging it, aren't you? You're just winging it.
You're just winging it. And I think the other side of that is when you're just winging it, you lose sort of that confidence in how sustainable your business is going to be, because you have in the back of your mind, like, I don't really know if my business is profitable. I don't really know what I spend my money on. I don't really know if I could pay myself more or if I could continue growing this thing. You kind of only know what you have in the bank account. And so I think that can wear down on our confidence of like how sustainable, how big we could grow our business. Whereas if you have a clear picture of the numbers, you can use that to make decisions and just feel much more confident about where you're going.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's that fear, isn't it? When someone doesn't understand something
Yeah.
and they ignore it, which actually is the worst thing to do. So I know you mentioned that you had some free resources, so I'm going to dig into that a little bit deeper. And I know that's what you do in your business. You help business owners, don't you, with all of this kind of stuff. So let us know how you can, how you can help and what resources you've got.
Yeah. So we have a couple free resources that have like your basic accounting checklist, which is everything you need to be doing on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual basis if you're the one doing your own bookkeeping. So if you are the one tracking everything, it's a checklist to know that you have everything in order and you're covering all of your bases. It also has a tax deduction cheat sheet. So it's what's tax deductible in the US. And it has some just tips on what I would consider they help with your mindset. But it's really about facing your finances and not avoiding them. So things like even just checking your bank account every day and how powerful that can be to really give you more clarity on how the money is moving in your business. But we also have some freebies like a startup budget, how to really figure out how much it's going to cost you to start a business if you're in that period of time where you want to start, but you're not sure if you can afford it. And if you go to heyprettypenny.com, that's where you can find kind of all of our free resources and our low cost resources. And you can reach out to us anytime. We really try to help businesses, especially in those early stages.
Yeah. Because I think it is that the early stages is that whole educational piece, isn't it? And just fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
So we'll put your link, if you're listening on iTunes or any of the podcast channels, you'll be able to see the show notes, the link. And if you're watching us, hello, on YouTube, then you'll be able to see again in the comments section all of Ashley's details and stuff. So I presume you also manage the whole services for businesses as well. Do you do training and coaching as well?
We do training. We offer just different kinds of like coaching and training around QuickBooks and around bookkeeping in and of its own. But the bulk of our business is that we manage the bookkeeping for clients. So if you are someone who is like, I hear you, but I do not want to do this, or I do not have time, that's perfect. That's what we do. So we take that work off of our clients' plates and send them the information they need to know so that they're still in the know with what's going on. They still are aware of what their profit is and how much they need to set aside for taxes and things like that, but they're not the ones having to go in and do it every month.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you realize when you're sort of a few years into your business, or even really after that first year, that I realized that if I can outsource certain tasks, whether that's, graphic design or doing like, say, Canva posts on social platforms, my accountancy stuff, I've got a podcast, obviously, so everything that gets edited. So I just do this part.
Yeah.
I just do the bit that I enjoy. And so all the booking and all that kind of stuff is all automated. If you have all these processes in your business and you've got the right, obviously you need a bit of cash flow to be able to do it, but you don't need that much. You realize that you can grow faster by doing it.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that before I started doing it. If I'd known, I think I would have done it earlier. Because I was thinking I was saving money by doing all of these different things. But actually, it means that you can focus on what you're really good at and what you really want to do and sort of be the leader driving your business because you've got the support from all these people that are doing, the things that could be taking not your expertise and taking up your time. So I definitely encourage for people who, obviously your first couple of months, you might want to be doing your own bookkeeping.
Yeah.
Or maybe somebody that, like you said, if you've got a lump sum that you've put aside and you have got money that you're going to invest, it might be that you realise that, oh my God, that's going to take me loads of time and I want to get the foundations right. Because that's another thing with e-commerce businesses, there's a lot of people exiting businesses.
Yeah.
And showing that, you've got a trademark, showing that you've had all the accountancy done properly and there's not any, fines from tax and all that kind of stuff, just shows that everything in the foundation part has been set up with that company correctly. So it makes it easier when you're going to exit because you can show the whole start and foundations, which again, other people forget about that as well. If they've got a 5-year plan, a lot of people now with e-commerce have got like a 5-year plan they want to exit. So it's definitely important to get everything right like that and do it properly.
It is. I actually helped a client who was in e-commerce sell their business. They sold it last year and they wanted a lot of history, right? Like they want to see what does the business look like over the last couple of years, and they want to know what that data looks like. So rather than having to all of a sudden spend a lot of time trying to pull it together at that point when you're ready to exit, getting things in place from the beginning, or even if you're in sort of what I would call like the messy middle, like you've got a lot of moving parts and you need to figure it out, getting things organized and you not having to be the one to do it is like it's a game changer.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, absolutely. So, what is the best way for people to reach out to you? People are listening to this thinking, I just need Ashley. What is the best way for them to reach out to you? Is it through the website link that we're going to put in the show notes, or do you hang out on a social platform that's your preference, or what's the best?
Yeah, I do. You can find me on that link, but I'm at Pretty Penny Accounting on pretty much any social channel, and we hang out on Instagram the most. We're a little new to TikTok, trying to figure that whole thing out. The millennial in me is struggling with it.
I am at the moment. I'm like, I've got a TikTok,
Yeah.
it's my personal one that's just, I think I've got 60 subscribers or something.
Yes.
It's my task for this first half of the year is to really learn TikTok and stuff, because it's just, there's so much organic reach, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
But like you say, it does feel like we're in the old crew with when you go on it. But there's so much I keep seeing about TikTok, especially with like Google search. It's going to replace Google or something with some of their searches.
Yeah, it's become like the highest search engine, which is pretty wild. I mean, I'm in the middle of planning a trip and I've been using TikTok to like look for recommendations for restaurants and hotels. And I would have never thought that would have been the case before.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. I think that is one of the social platforms that's going to grow more. But I'm a bit of an Instagram girl as well. Maybe
Me too.
it's
Over time, we'll get there.
Exactly. So if you are thinking of reaching out to Ashley, either go to her website or go and find her on Instagram. But she's on all the social platforms, as you just heard. So I always ask everybody one question, and because it's the Freedom Podcast, I always ask people, what does freedom mean to you? And before you answer, when we've done the birthday episodes, what we tend to do is pick out some of these answers and then record them back to back. It's really interesting, like asking that question and then hearing everybody's answers. And obviously there's no right or wrong answer, but what does freedom mean to you, Ashley?
Freedom to me means choice. It means being able to choose what I do with my time, how much money I'm able to make, and what I do with the money that I have, and the freedom to do something that lights me up and that brings me joy. We had talked about this a little bit before we jumped on, but my definition of freedom has changed a lot. My definition of freedom when I decided to start my business was freedom to take off whenever I want and travel. And while those things are still possible, it has to happen with a lot more intention now that I have employees and clients that have needs, and you grow a business and then you really have to be dedicated to that business. And that really changed what freedom meant to me. And so as long as I still get to do something that lights me up and that really brings me joy, and at the end of the day, I have a lot of choice in how much money I get to make, how much I grow my business, what my schedule looks like. Really, I have so much choice in my life. And to me, that's freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why the financial freedom as well, it gives you those choices, doesn't it? To be able to choose the time that you're working, your schedule. And like you say, your priorities change as you grow your business, but you've still got the choice. So I think that's a great answer. Choice
exactly
does sum it up quite nicely.
Yeah. And I think to your point of the financial freedom, I always think people always say that money doesn't buy happiness. And I do definitely believe that it doesn't buy happiness, but it does buy you opportunity, and you can do a lot with opportunity. And I think that financial freedom can give you the opportunity to choose what you want to do in your life. Yeah. And that can mean if you choose right, if you choose and what's in line with who you are, then I think that can bring a lot of happiness.
Definitely. I think it's because we see a lot of, on online marketing around, making 7 figures in 2 days. All these ads that use that phrase, financial freedom. So sometimes it feels like when we talk about it, that it feels uncomfortable with it. because there is a lot of marketing out there. But actually, I remember my goal was just to earn what I earn in the corporate world. I wanted just to replace, which I think is a lot of people's goals.
That was mine when I got started. I just wanted to have enough clients to pay my salary, and I was good.
Yeah. And then your goals start changing. They start getting bigger.
Yeah, they do.
And I remember saying to myself, Anna, you've not even congratulated yourself that you've actually hit that goal, because you're like off doing other things now. And I had to like pause and take a moment and think. I think because at the beginning I was like seeing it like a mountain, that then once I got going, I didn't actually stop to say, hey, you've done it now. What that initial goal was, because it was like, oh my God, I've got to do this, I want to do that,
We keep raising the bar for ourselves. We're like, okay, immediate before we even get to the goal, we just see we're going to hit it. We're like, okay, new goal.
Exactly. But yeah, choice, I think, is a really good one for freedom. Really, really good answer. So thank you for that. And for people who are inspired, reach out to Ashley. Maybe go and check out some of the resources that she's got. And go and see what she's doing on Instagram, because that's where she's hanging out most. But watch this space on TikTok. You might see.
You might see us pop up.
Exactly. You'll be like, oh, there they are. So great. It's been really good to meet you and connect with you. And if I can help you in any way around e-commerce, always give me a shout.
Thank you so much. You as well.
I often get, clients in the US that ask for accountancy for all different locations, because a lot of my students are just global. I do have a lot in the UK, but I have a lot, like in Australia even, and US, Canada, and also some of the sort of Asia countries as well. So it's always
all
good
over.
to know.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's always good to know different, because obviously accountancy works slightly different, obviously in different locations, and you want to get, the right sort of accountant support. So it's always good to know people in different locations. So yeah, good to connect with you.
You as well. Thank you so much for having me. And I love that you get to talk to people about what freedom means and just about their journey, and helps people not feel alone in the struggles that we go through, because it is not easy. So anytime we can kind of feel like we're not alone through the journey is really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. So brilliant. Thanks for coming on the show and sharing all your good stuff and inspiring my listeners. So it's been great to have you.
Amazing. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for listening. Hope you had a blast. Here to elevate your life. It's the Freedom Podcast. Love, money, mind. Love, money, mind. Wanna see you all win. Wanna see you all shine. Just make sure that you subscribe. Bringing good vibes. Join the Facebook group. Now it's time to change your life. Hope you come back. Right now is the chance. This is an experience. It's the Freedom Podcast. Hey, thank you for listening. Hope you had a blast. Here to elevate your life. It's the Freedom Podcast. Love, money, mind. Love, money, mind. Wanna see you all win. Wanna see you all shine. Just make sure that you subscribe. Bringing good vibes. Join the Facebook group. Now it's time to change your life. Hope you come back. Right now is the chance. This is an experience. It's the Freedom Podcast. Hey.